Hello Eagles Nation, Vincent First here, and welcome to a Week 17 Eagles Chat. We're here at Eagles Chat, we get down right to the news you want to hear on your birds. But before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe to the Eagles Chat YouTube channel, as well as following us on Instagram at Chat Eagles, where you can find daily updates on your birds, and you can also find our Instagram in the description of this video. But now let's get right into it, and we're first going to start off with the big news. And yes, the Eagles finally clinched the NFC East. They had a chance to do so last week, but came up a little bit short. They certainly did not come up short at all this week, as it was a 41-7 massacre at the Link. And yes, it was kind of crazy on and off the field. And what I mean on and off the field, yes, obviously it was crazy on the field with all of the fights that did break out. It was pretty tense, and that's expected in an Eagles-Cowboys rivalry like this. It's one of the most tense rivalries in the NFL. But also off the field in the stands, as the Eagles fans gave, let's just say, they gave Jerry Jones some nice words as they were, let's just say, going after him when he was sitting in his box upstairs when he was watching the game at the Link, and as well pre-game when Jerry Jones was walking the field. Basically saying to Jerry Jones, thank you for your service and keep doing everything that you're doing, because the Cowboys franchise is doing so well right now. To Eagles fan standards, yes, the Cowboys are doing incredibly well. And I say this to you, Jerry Jones, please do not change a single thing. Keep making your fans suffer, because here in Philadelphia, yeah, it's absolutely hilarious, and we just love to see it. But now, I always have to ask this question as well, and I just need to check in to make sure, are y'all still them boys? I just have a quick question. I know the answer is obvious for every other NFL fan, but at this rate, yeah, I'm basically just asking a simple question that I know is hard for Jerry Jones to answer. It may also be easy for the Dallas fans to answer. It's probably no. But for Jerry Jones, I don't even think he knows what his franchise is anymore, especially since his own stadium blinds his own players. So we'll talk about that some other time. But now let's get into the Eagles injury update right now. So we are currently monitoring a few players, but we're currently monitoring two players very, very closely, one being Bryce Huff. Now, those of you who knew, Bryce Huff was injured for quite some time, and he just came back into today's game. Well, yes, he came back into today's game, but a lot of people didn't quite know that he came back because he did exit the game shortly after with a shoulder injury. Now, he was out for quite some time, but did re-enter the game as well. So we're just continuing to monitor that injury very, very closely, especially as Bryce Huff was injured already. He came back in, really didn't play that much at all, came out, but then did return. So whatever that injury was, it must have not been too serious. Now, of course, as the week goes on, we'll get more news about it. But at this time, currently, that's all that we hear it was something with his shoulder, and we'll continue to monitor that very, very closely. Another one that we're also watching closely is obviously, Kenny Pickett. He was having problems with his ribs, obviously the past game with the Washington Commanders, but he was able to finish that game. Yeah, this one was a little bit different. Tanner McKee had to come in, which is the third-string quarterback, but Kenny Pickett took some strong hits back-to-back. Now, we're going to monitor that very, very closely, as he was doing well for the majority of the game. Now, yes, when Kenny Pickett did come into today's game, if you probably looked at him, and if you probably looked at him closely, and it was even said before the game in the pregame show that he was wearing extra padding, so for that issue with his ribs. And at his final plays for the game that he was out there for, he took some pretty hard hits back-to-back by the Dallas defense. They really were taking it to him, and were hitting him, and let's just say, the mid-body. So they knew exactly where he was having the issue. Obviously, they knew exactly where he had the issue, and they were clearly, in my opinion, targeting that area. So we're going to continue to monitor Kenny Pickett very, very closely, as we're not quite sure what the Eagles are going to be doing with the quarterback situation, being that, are they just going to hold Jalen Hurts out until the playoffs, or are they going to give him a little bit of playing time in Week 18? It all depends, I guess, on how Jalen Hurts feels, and really what the heads of the team want to do with their starters, as we're already questioning, are they going to play Saquon Barkley to help him get over the record? I would love to see that, but again, we're going to see how many starters the Eagles really play in Week 18, especially since you're going up against the Giants, who are obviously way out of it. The Eagles already clinched the division, so right now we're going to see what the Eagles do coming up in the last week of the season. But as of right now, yeah, Kenny Pickett, this go back on topic. We're going to continue to monitor that very, very closely, and we're going to watch the news that comes out as they practice this week. Make sure to follow us on Instagram for injury updates. We'll be doing it every single time the Eagles release an injury report. We will be getting that information out to you as fast as possible. So make sure to follow us on Instagram. Again, the link is in the description to stay updated, not just on injuries, but everything to do with your birds as the final week, I can't believe it, as the final week, week 18, approaches us and gets closer and closer. So make sure to follow us on Instagram. But now, let's get into the quarterbacks. And obviously, the two quarterbacks that we had right here. Yeah, we had two of them play today. One being obviously Kenny Pickett to your left, and to your right here, Tanner McKee. So, yeah, they both had absolutely incredible games. And when Kenny Pickett came out and Tanner McKee came in, there was almost no ripple whatsoever as the Eagles just kept on going at a smooth pace. And let's go over their stats. First, starting off with Kenny Pickett. He was 10 out of 15 for 143 yards. He threw one touchdown. And yeah, 143 yards. That is the same amount of yards that Kenny Pickett had and threw for last week when he came in for Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, overall, it was not a horrible game. Were there some iffy points? There absolutely were. But all in all, I think it was a pretty good game by Kenny Pickett. He did a good job with spotting his open receivers. Him and Devontae Smith were clicking all game as Devontae Smith was running incredible routes, was doing a great job faking out the Dallas defense. And I don't want to just say Devontae Smith, because Grant Calcaterra was also doing a good job. He was doing a great job in terms of his route running as well, faking them out. So it was great to see Devontae Smith and Grant Calcaterra right next to each other. I know obviously one's a tight end and one's a wide receiver, but they were doing a great job in terms of their route running to really confuse the Dallas Cowboys defense, as they were practically running all over the place. The Dallas Cowboys secondary was running all over the place. And yeah, Kenny Pickett, again, he had some throws that were a little off point, but for the majority of the time, Kenny Pickett did a great job spotting his receivers, doing well with the short passes, which is something that was good to get him in a rhythm. And yeah, 10 out of 15, that's not bad. So really, this game in general for Kenny Pickett, I think, was a pretty good game. Now, to move on to Tanner McKee, obviously he didn't play as much, but for only having 3 out of 4 for your attempts, yeah, he was 3 out of 4 for his attempts and 54 yards, the guy still managed to put up 2 passing touchdowns for Tanner McKee. Obviously, one was for Devontae Smith, and the other one was for A.J. Brown. So he split and used one of the best wide receiver duos in the league at a very good point. He also picked up his first touchdown in the NFL today, so congratulations to Tanner McKee, who is someone that I really have wanted to see more out of in terms of being a backup quarterback. I originally wanted him to be the backup instead of Kenny Pickett. Those of you who want to hear more about that, you could watch my preseason game Eagles chats where I have a lot to say about that. But the stick on topic, right? I think Tanner McKee had an incredible game. He was also really on point. And like I said, the transition between when Kenny Pickett left the game because his ribs were really hurting and when Tanner McKee came in, there was absolutely no ripple whatsoever. The team didn't stop. They kept on pushing and thrusting forward at an extremely good rate. And really, again, yeah, it was almost like there was no ripple at all. I didn't notice any stoppage between the switch of Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee. The team just kept on going smooth like nothing ever happened. And that's something that, hey, it was absolutely incredible. Both these guys played an incredible game for filling in Jalen Hurts' spot. And, hey, great win. 41-7. There's nothing much else to say other than an incredible game by both of these two. So that is definitely a definite. But now, moving on to the defense. So, let's see how the defense played. Well, it was a little iffy at first, but I have my player of the game 100%, and this probably comes in no surprise, as it is C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had an incredible game. C.J., 2 interceptions. Obviously, his first interception was a pick 6. Yeah, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was absolutely all over the place. Now, he did have a little bit of a scare as C.J. did go down. Looked like something with his ankle, but then he came back on immediately and started performing at a high rate again. So that was a little bit of a scare. But again, he would manage to come back, and it looked like nothing bad ever happened. So it was good to see C.J. Gardner-Johnson play strong, fight through it, and keep performing at a high rate, as well with not just the 2 interceptions by C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I also have to talk about the forced fumbles by Cooper DeJean, and as well another one by Jordan Davis, as they were also doing an incredible job. Have to give some shout out to that defensive line. The defensive line weren't getting a good amount of pressure at the beginning of the game, but as the game continued on, they started to really get into it. They started to get into the groove and put good pressure on Cooper Rush to really hold down that Dallas offense, especially as one of their best guys, CeeDee Lamb, was not even in. So, yeah, that made it a little bit easier, but something where they were able to adjust. And, hey, Vic Fangio has done a great job all season with adjusting, something we haven't really seen out of Eagles defensive coordinators in the past, like the past 2 seasons, right? But it still was something very impressive to see, and they did an incredible job. So 100% kudos to them on that. But now let's get into the offense. So, yes, obviously great games by guys, again, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith had 6 receptions for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, and A.J. Brown, 3 receptions, 36 yards, 1 touchdown. So the star wide receiver duo definitely showed up in a big-time way, but yeah, obviously, you know who my player of the game is going to be, and that is none other than, yeah, Saquon Barkley. And why Saquon Barkley? Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, 2,000 rushing yards were surpassed during this game. So congratulations to Saquon Barkley. He wasn't doing a lot of running in the beginning, which was something where a lot of Eagles fans were concerned. Uh-oh, is he going to be able to get that record? But yeah, let's just say he topped that in a very, very good way. He had 31 carries for 167 yards. So he definitely showed up 100%, was getting some good runs, some good rushes, and yeah, was absolutely an incredible game by him. So surpassing 2,000 rushing yards, great job. And hopefully next game he can surpass the big goal of surpassing the record. And let's see what he can do next game against the New York Giants, if they decide to play him, that is. As we know, Saquon Barkley is a team player 100%. So we'll see what the decision is next game against the Giants. But, yeah, there you go. That is pretty much it for this Eagles chat, and that is pretty much it for the 2024 year, as this is the last Eagles chat in 2024, and their next game against the New York Giants, Sunday, January 5th, 2025. That will be at 1 o'clock at the link. So, yeah, folks, this is it for 2024. The Eagles left 2024 and on a very, very, very good note, beating the Dallas Cowboys and clinching the division over the Dallas Cowboys as well. Well, against, I should say. They clinched the division against the Dallas Cowboys. So that is a gift, a little bit of a late Christmas gift that I will 100% accept at that. But yeah, an absolutely incredible game by the Eagles against Dallas, and hopefully we see another incredible game against the New York Giants. It would be so nice to squish back-to-back division rivals 100%. I would love to see that, especially as the New York Giants, they did get a win today, so they kind of crushed their fans' hopes at the #1 draft pick. We'll see what the Eagles can do next week. Will they crush the Giants, or will they not really start any of their starters, which is something that could also happen, and it may be a close game because it will be the Giants' so-called starters against the Eagles' third string. So we'll have to see what happens next game. But that's all for me for 2024, and the Eagles were able to get it done in a big way against the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see what the Eagles can do next week against the Giants in South Philadelphia at the link. That's all for me. Have a happy new year, everyone. And as always, go Birds! Have a good week, everybody. And I'll see you back here next week to cover the Eagles-Giants game. And have a good rest of your week.